Pops in the Rican.
Pops and the Rican.
Look at this. Pops in the Rican. The Pops in the Rican. What's the Pops in the Rican?
Look at the top of his head. Look at his head.
Pops and the Rican.
Pops and the Rican.
What is going on, everybody? Well,
I'm getting ready. I'm getting ready to trick or treat. I don't know.
well, we wait till everybody jumps on. But how you doing, man? How you feeling?
Hey, quite honestly, I'm doing extremely well right now.
Me too, man. I'm feeling good.
Yeah, and so far, I think my memory is good because I remembered that I'm Pops, and
Yep, and I'm the Rican,
and that means this is the Pops and the Rican show.
Show you know.
So yeah. So anyway, yeah, things are going pretty good. I'm excited because this is going to be a fantastic weekend.
Yeah, man, I'm stoked about it too. I'm really pumped about the fact that number one that we can continue to be able to do this. I'm excited that that we're all pretty much are pushing through this whole thing that's happening. But as a comedy club, we're still pushing, and we're able to at least get everything set and give laughter to everybody that's out here that's going through some stuff, because we are going through some stuff. Let me tell you, and I'm sure everybody's pumped about this weekend too, man. We have got an amazing show that's coming up, and that I'm excited about too as well.
Yeah, and the cool thing is that this weekend we're making dreams come true, at least for a few people, because I've had people sending me messages saying, "Hey, I see you guys have Dusty Slay coming to Gutty's this weekend."
Right.
I'm so happy because I get to come, and it's like a dream. I get to see Dusty in person, and I'm like. Yeah, how come you didn't say that about me? But no, it's all about But yeah, we've got people that are pretty excited about that. And then, our feature act, is I'm pretty sure when I told Jake that we were going to let him feature for the show, I'm pretty sure he peed his pants.
He's been working. Well, that's
not sure.
Yeah, he's been working really hard, and we appreciate the hard work that everybody's been putting in to bring comedy here to Gutty's. I just love showcasing that, man. I love showcasing that and investing in other comics that have a heart, that have a drive, that have a hunger to get better. Yeah. And he's done that, and that's why I'm excited that he's on the show too as well. So it's gonna be great. Jake Rubel is on the show. He's going to be featuring for Dusty. So it's going to be, I'm telling you, you don't want to miss it. We've already sold out Saturday tickets. So we're working on really close on Friday. So if you haven't gotten it yet, you better get them now. Because
by the end of the day, that'll be sold out.
Yeah.
And,
easy.
And we'll see what we can do. If we can add an extra show in just because the crowd wants it, or we'll see what we can do.
Yeah. So before we jump in to our special guest for today on the Pops and Rican Show, I just want to let everybody know that you can actually download our mobile app. If you've already done it, you can connect with our community. We have something really great going on right now. Our community is connected directly to you. And what that means is when you sign up at 317-597-6856, you can actually text events and it'll go straight to you. You can say, hey, who's up next? And we can let you know. Are there any tickets left? Or even, hey, we got $10 tickets because you signed up and joined our community. So if you text, go ahead.
Not only that, but if they text 317-597-6856, they join the community, then anytime we announce we're getting ready to announce that we've just added a new show to our lineup, they find out first before it goes public, before it gets out on the website and all that stuff. They find out they can get tickets before the general public, so they get in line first. but you have to be a member of the community to get that access. So
right.
you got to jump on, text 317-597-6856, and
text Gutty.
Join the community. So
yep, and we'll join that. And if you've already downloaded our mobile app, on the app it says text us, and that'll get you into as well. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about this. Our special guest for today on the Pops and Rican Show. I don't know if you are. You ready?
I'm ready, man. Let's get this thing rolling.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dusty Slade.
All right.
There he is. What's going on, man?
What's happening? We're having a good time.
Man, it's great to have you on the show, man. Thanks for joining us today, bro. Appreciate it.
I'm pumped. I'm pumped to be here.
All right, man. So how's it going over there? Where you at? Tennessee?
Yeah, it's going great. Nice weather, dew on the ground. My grass is growing. I got a little compost thing where stuff's growing out of there. I didn't even try to grow it, and it's growing. So there might be something to eat here soon.
Well,
you're lucky.
Lunch?
Yeah,
dude, exactly. You're lucky, bro, because it's bipolar over here, bro. I mean, it's at first it's all cold, then it's rainy, then it's hot, sun is out. I don't understand it. It's annoying, but I appreciate Indiana.
Indianapolis, the area, to me, has the weirdest weather, and I love to talk about the weather. I love it, but people really frown on it. I got a neighbor. We only talk about our lawns. I think he's tired of it, but I got nobody else to talk to my lawn, talk about my lawn with. So I'm like, this is the guy, like this is the role he plays in my life is for me to talk about the lawn. And his lawn looks better than mine. So it's always just compliments to him. I'm always like, oh, your lawn looks so great. Mine's so terrible. And I don't even feel like mine looks terrible. I just feel like the best way that we can have this conversation is if he feels good.
Right.
But Indianapolis, it's always gray and a little rainy. I feel like sometimes there's some sunshine, but every time I'm there, I'm like, it's raining again.
Exactly. And that's how it feels, bro. I mean, I'm from Chicago. So when it's cold, it's cold. It stays cold. It doesn't change. And so we prepare for that and we're ready.
Yeah.
But here, bro, it's out of whack, bro. It's cattywampus.
I know. It is.
We went for a long time. They were like, oh, we're in this drought. And I was like, it's okay. I don't have to mow my yard if we're in a drought. And then all of a sudden we had like 20,000 inches of rain come roaring in. And now I got to go, oh, crap, I got to get the mower out again because it's starting to grow because we had all that rain. I don't know.
I love to mow the grass. You know what I mean? I like to get into it. I'm out there. I mow the grass barefooted sometimes. I love it. I'm all about it.
My brother actually jumped on. He was just like that. He loved it. He actually got to the point where he was like, yo, you can make this pattern if you lower the blades right. I'm like, bro, you're too serious about it.
I know.
Just cut the grass. Make it happen. He's like, no, but it looks really cool, man. He was that type. Yeah, he got it.
The yard is art. You know what I mean? I have a fear that I'm going to cut my foot off with the lawnmower, but I've figured that I don't think the shoe is going to protect me that much. You know what I mean? I'm usually wearing a loafer. I don't know how much that's going to help.
Yeah, unless you got steel toes in the loafers, probably not.
Yeah, so I just do it barefooted.
It'll work right.
It's a lot of fun. My neighbors think I'm crazy, I'm sure, but they know I do comedy. So when they know you do comedy, everything's just a joke.
Yep.
It's all hilarious. Right? Oh, put this in your act.
That's it.
Right?
Man, the thing is, it's totally opposite. Just thinking about this, it's totally opposite when I go see my family. It's more like it's a deterrent because they know I'm a comic and they're gonna get roasted.
Oh yeah.
So now it's like I can't even. So it's cool, but at the same time, it's like, well, I don't got no friends because not even my family members want to hang with me because he's a comic, man. You don't want to say nothing in front of him. He's gonna use it on stage.
They always say you can hang with us, you'll get a whole new act, and I'm like, probably, but it's not the stuff that you think is funny about you.
Right.
It never is. They're like, write a joke about me, and then you do it, and then they're not your friend anymore.
Exactly.
You know, that's like my wife. Well, sometimes we'll talk about how I don't really have any wife jokes, right?
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, because I'm not trying to make fun of you on stage, and it's like, So I don't know.
No, I hear you, bro. Because the same way here, it's like sometimes when I write my jokes, it kind of goes towards being married and having that experience. And I'm almost like, should I even say that? Because I think that was in a conversation we had 2 weeks ago, and then she's gonna think that I'm using that against her, and it's like, nah, I don't want to even go that route. I had that fear sometimes where I'm like, am I spilling into an argument that I had 3 weeks ago? I don't know, and I'm afraid that might spill in, and it'll be like, well, you use that against me on stage, and I'm trying to avoid that.
Totally.
I tell people that I have 2 wives. I have the wife that I actually have at home, but then on stage I have my comedy wife who.
Oh yeah,
that's
so
safe.
You just make up stuff.
She's not real, and then I talk about my real comedy wife on stage and say, no, that's not real. But it's real, but as long as I keep saying that on stage, then my wife goes, oh, so you were talking about your comedy wife when you said that I keep bugging you about. Yes, I was talking about her. and evidently she and you are a lot alike.
Right. Exactly.
I like that. It created a little illusion.
Yeah.
Right.
Well.
Where does the name Gutty's come from?
Oh, Gutty's is basically okay. So I was back in 2003. I wanted to create a room that is all clean comedy, because at the time it was hard to get into a room to do clean comedy. All the rooms that I was doing, it was always obviously bars and all that, and it's always the comment is, if you want to create your room, just go and make it. Just go make your room. So I believe at the time it was with my buddy Brian Johnson. I was just coming up with a name. I was like, look, I want a name that is synonymous with the greats like Zanies and Improv and all that. And I wanted to be able to stick out. But I want to know why, what is the whole purpose of it? Because I don't just want to name it what it is. Because it went through a couple. It was like, it used to be E-Comedy Live. It used to be Comedy Cafe, things like that. But I wanted it to stick out. And so we were going through what happens at a Gutty's Comedy Club show. What happens at a Gutty's show? Well, everybody's always walking out, cracking up, laughing. Their necks hurt, right? Their head hurts from laughing so hard and smiling. Then they went to the gut. That's what's gut busting laughs.
Oh yeah,
and that's where the Gutties came from. It's gut busting laughs expected every time you come into the show. So,
okay, because it's close to like gutter, right?
Yeah,
and then that's when you're being dirty. Your mind's in the gutter.
Right.
But
right.
It's not the same. Gutty and gutter. It's not
exactly. So
we're having a good time here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. So that's kind of how the whole idea of what Gutty's was all about.
I like it. I'm pumped. I mean,
Thanks,
I
man.
always try to look for clean openers, and then they're like, well, it's all clean here. And I was like, oh, great.
Yep. But that's exactly it. We want to be able to create that avenue for acts like yourself. What I'm looking for when you're in that area and you're like, I want to get on stage and be able to start rocking some stuff. Well, that's pretty much what we're here for, is to be able to provide you guys a spot, a place to be able to say, hey, look, I don't have to worry about my opener or my features messing everything up, or and then I have to save everything on my act. It's like, no, this is a strictly straight clean comedy room is how we want to.
Well, I like it. I mean, yeah, and I'm pumped to come back to the area. I've been to Indianapolis a bunch, so I'm pumped to be back.
Awesome. Yeah, man, it's going to be great to have you here. All right, so for the whole comedy game, we always have our comics that follow us, that come to our open mics. They always have questions, and obviously, when they heard that you were going to be in town, they had a lot of questions too as well.
I'm all about answering questions,
man. So the question is, how was the whole experience going online and being able to be on, Fallon, Leno? What was that experience? They want to know, because we do talk about writing experience, like what's your writing technique and all that stuff. But we really wanted to get into the business side, or at least the experience of what was it like when you were able to, do that tight five on TV, on live TV. Well,
it's the best. You know what I mean? It's like, it feels great. I mean, that's what we all used to talk about at the open mics. If we got to do late night, what would our 5 minutes be? And, you know, from the time of talking about it to the time I actually got to do it was not the same, was not the same 5 minutes. You know, it's amazing how jokes go away. You think this is the best joke. I did Last Comic Standing. I made it to the final 100 in 2015, and I did 3 minutes, and I thought, man, this is the best, right? And I didn't advance. And I remember someone saying to me, well, we just got to go get better. And I thought, nah, I'm the best already, right? And but you just think these jokes that you're writing right now, you're like, this is the best that I can ever write. Like, you don't even think about, and then you write a joke that's better, and you're like, oh, that joke that I thought was the best is not even really that good.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine. People were laughing at it. But then when you sandwich that joke in with like your new stuff, it's almost like a dip now in the set. So, but yeah, I mean, it's awesome. I mean, to get to go and showcase, I mean, you know, I mean, Jimmy Kimmel, was my first one that I'd ever done. So I was not super prepared for the way the room was. Like those jokes that I did, were always like, I would do them like middle of a 30-minute set or something, you know?
Okay.
So I would do 15 minutes. The audience would be pumped, and then I would hit those jokes and they would really crush. So when I'm sending that video into Jimmy Kimmel, it's crushing every time. And then I go on the show, and the way the room was set up was that they would have the audience watch all of the celebrities, and then they stood them up and moved them into a different room, which was a great room, like built like a little comedy club, but there was no comedian before me. There was no warm up. So now I'm doing jokes to a cold audience that I've never done for a cold audience. So when I do the first joke, which always gets a laugh, and it doesn't really get a laugh, I'm like, you're already nervous. And as a comic, like when I'm nervous, the best way to get me out of the nerves is to get that laugh.
Right.
And then when that laugh doesn't come, the nerves are like, I'm like, immediately in my head, I'm like, oh no, everyone I've ever known is going to see me bomb on TV. And, but then, I mean, what I like about that set is it gets better as it goes. Right. So it's like, I mean, that's the thing that I always tell people. It's like, if it's not going, I mean, I'm pretty bad about commenting on it not going well. Like if I'm on stage, like I try to do it in a fun, funny way.
Yeah.
But I'm like, if I'm telling jokes that I've told a bunch of times and they always get laughs, and then I'm in front of an audience and they're not laughing, I'm like, what's going on out here, guys? You know? But I don't do it in a mean way, but I'm like, what's happening with you right now?
Right.
You know, how did everyone that doesn't like these jokes get together tonight?
Right.
How has that life of yours been under the rock?
Yeah.
You've been living? Because everybody else loves this stuff, but you under the rock don't. Okay.
But it's like, I don't expect everybody to like all my jokes, but it's weird when all those people are gathered in a room. Right?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like you guys all met up tonight. I always expect there to be one guy out in the audience with a frown,
Right.
You know, going, this guy's just not that funny. I don't get it.
Right.
And I'm okay with that. You don't have to get it. Everybody's not going to get it. You know, everybody's not going to love my comedy, but, you know, but I feel sorry for those people. You know what I mean?
Well, that's good. That's good to know that, because now instead of having to, because usually in some places, some comics that we talk to actually have warm-ups. Like they'll go warm up in between sets of a show. That's what they're there for, is to warm up the crowd, to get them, you know, ready for whatever's going to come out. So it was just jump in the water. It was like, boom, let's get this going. And that's that was for Kimmel, right? That was for Kimmel when he first did it. Yeah.
And he was very nice to me. And he said, right before I went out, he says, this is a weird audience. So whatever you get out of them, you earned.
Nice.
And so I'm like, well, so that helped a little bit. It's kind of a weird comment, but it also helped, because I'm like, all right, now I know if they don't now, the audience at home, the people that I grew up with, they don't know that he just said that to me. But, but I felt good. I mean, it's all about, you know, if it's not going well, you just kind of keep your feet planted, and just keep telling the jokes.
That's it.
And I try to find some way to comment on the weirdness without being like, oh, please laugh at my jokes. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right. It's almost
without-
like you don't, right, or
Or
without
without calling them stupid. And
exactly. Don't attack the crowd because they're not getting your jokes. It's just more, hey guys, we're here together.
yeah.
You know, let's make the best of it.
Yeah, and I
Instead
like
of
a
it.
little self-dep comedy anyway. So it's like,
Yeah.
if they're not laughing, it plays into what I like to do anyway.
Right,
Sometimes if the audience is too fired up, I'm like, let's settle down. You know what I mean? Let's settle down and you know what I mean? Let's don't be
Right.
too pumped.
right.
I don't want to let you down.
Right, exactly.
Because I'm for so long, I've done comedy just as a feature or as as someone that no one knows. So they have no expectation. So I'm used to that. I'm
Right.
used to like a semi-aggressive audience that's like, make us laugh. and I almost like that better,
Get
when
up
they're
there
all
and
pumped,
dance,
like, we're
Joker
here
boy.
to see you.
right,
I'm like,
right.
yeah.
I don't want to let you down. That's all
Yeah.
good, man. That's good. That is good. So, okay, so I know you do majority of your stuff is clean. So that's why what we do is we try to preach that a little bit where, the importance of doing clean, because you do get more opportunities if you can work an act or at least write an act that's clean. There are other opportunities. Well, in the process of doing live or going on, on TV, did they have to didact or anything? Did you have to really sharpen your material?
No, I mean, I got some jokes that I probably couldn't do on there. I always think about that when, I always consider myself club clean, right?
Okay.
Like, if I were to say, go do a church, which I don't really do, but if I got invited to do one, I would need to really clean it up, right? I got a lot of references that are considered clean in the club,
Mhm.
but not for an audience that's like, hey, there's going to be kids here. Whenever people tell me that, I'm like, oh no, because one, kids don't get jokes, and and they so they're not going to get any like setup or any reference from the 90s.
Right.
But it's like, I had like some brand names, like on Fallon, I talked about Goodwill, and I was worried that would get pulled, but apparently Goodwill is like Q-tip, right? It's like, it is a brand, but we all just kind of use it.
Right.
But I didn't have to take anything out. I mean, all three of the sets that I did on late night, I just sent in and they liked. I mean, the guy that books Fallon is great. He really works with you. The girl that booked me on Kimmel was great too, but that was my first experience with that. So on Fallon, this was my second chance.
Mm.
So, and I think my Jimmy Kimmel set was great, but the Fallon set was the one that really was, I mean, it really
That took you.
Yeah, that was a set that so when I got to do this one, I knew how to prepare a little better. So what I did was every set that I did, I opened with that 5-minute set.
Okay.
So I would do, 45 minutes and open with this 5.
Yeah.
And then struggle for the next 40 minutes to be as good as my first 5.
Right. Okay. So that's the beauty of okay, great. Because of the fact that even though that 5 minutes you work so hard to get it tight, you still have to, that 40 minutes that you got to work with.
I did some shows in Rochester, Minnesota, and it was like sold out shows. And for the first 5 minutes, you would have thought that I was the greatest comedian alive. And then the next 40 was like the audience was just looking at me like, what? I mean, I did fine, but it was a noticeable drop off.
Yeah, I got you. Okay, so then let me ask you this. So because, you got comics that are trying to jump from feature to headliner, because they're like, okay, I think I got a tight 45 or a tight 30, and I got to put an extra 15 minutes. What do you suggest for them to have to do since you're working? You still did a 45-minute show, even though it was lull after the 5 minutes. You still got to press through, right? You just got to push and press, buckle down, and do the jokes regardless. Yeah,
I mean, it's all about stage time. I think that it's a natural progression that happens if you're funny, if you're working hard, and focus on being unique and relevant. You know what I mean? Like if you just like, I know some comics that I used to work with on the road that would be crushing. I mean, they would crush harder than me. Like I would go up and I would think, oh, I'm cool, hipster guy, you know, whatever. And then they would come out, and I feel like some of them would be very generic, but would just be destroying the room. And I think that you can get work that way, but it's like being unique and doing something different is what's gonna, you know, really get you, get you to move up. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And in a way that's got, I mean, it's like, you know, like you don't want to be, I don't know, too unique, I guess, in a way. I don't know. It's like, I feel like there is that thing of like, it's important to do what I like to call the hipster rooms, which are like, you know, where all the cool kids are at. And then the clubs where you actually make money, and what I prefer. I mean, I prefer the clubs, right? That's what I like.
Yeah.
But there is this mindset now to where like some people think that like doing the bar show is better than the club. I don't understand it, but it's a mindset some people have.
Wow.
But it's like, you want to do both. You want to be able to do them all. So I feel like doing as many weird rooms as you can do. I used to try to, when I started comedy, I used to try to open for my friends' bands all the time. Okay. Which I would bomb a lot doing that because it makes you stronger. You know,
that's the thing is, okay. So, and that's what we try to preach here too, as well. Some of the comics are learning how to host and MC, and we're trying to give them that experience to say, you got to just keep doing it. You can't just, you know, oh, okay, I got it. No, you have to keep doing it, because each area in the show is so important. It's so vital, from the host to the guest spot to the feature to the headliner. It's got to be able to rise to a certain point. And sometimes it doesn't. We know that. But if you have the understanding of what your job is, to set the mood, set the tone, and get it going, then when you get that and understand that, then you get creative and you get comfortable. Like we had a comic that's, you know, he's starting to MC here. His name is Turnbuckle Bill. And he has been able to embrace just being silly, and he'll go up there and he'll keep the crowd going. And he's really good at that. He's really good. And he's showing how much fun that he's having. And it just keeps the crowd going. His job is not to showcase his talent, you know, as far as his set or anything like that. His job is to keep the show going. And so understanding that each part of the show is so important and vital, I feel like you start to understand, okay, now I can grow from this. If I can keep that 10 minutes and then grow another 10 minutes, then I got a 20-minute set. Now I could jump to, you know, a special guest or, you know, feature it as well. So it's like there's so many different aspects to it.
Yeah, totally.
But the main thing is knowing that I have to get on stage and get it going. So if I can get as much time as I can, I'm going to jump up and take advantage of time, no matter where you're at.
Yeah. And I feel like there's this weird mentality where I used to hear this a lot, where it's like when I was featuring, they say, if you want a headline, you got to be so good that the feature can't or the headliner can't follow you, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I always hate that mentality, because I don't think that because the headliner has a job, that means I can't have the job. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like people would say that to me sometimes at clubs. They would go, oh, you should be headlining. And it's like, well, I mean, it's not the headliner's fault that I'm not headlining, you know,
So don't put it on him. Yeah, I got you.
Well, I remember at that point where I had, you know, a good tight feature set, but I hadn't written enough material that I felt comfortable. It was because, you know, there were people that were like, so I'm looking for somebody to headline this show. And I was of the mindset that I was like, I'm not ready to do that yet, because I don't want to show up, do a feature set for a headline role, and then them go, well, he was horrible. He only had, you know, and so I didn't want to jump into a headline role too soon. And so because of that, I also learned the importance of how a good feature is important to the overall flow of the shows. So I was okay in that role, you know?
Oh yeah. I mean, and it's like, sometimes it's not even about the amount of time that you have. Like, I put out an album. I recorded an album myself in 2014 which I still like. And I did 55 minutes of comedy straight up, but I wasn't even really featuring that much. I mean, I didn't really start featuring a lot until 2015. So I already had, an hour of comedy before I was ever really a feature. And then, in 2016, 17, I started headlining a little bit, and it's a jump. I mean, you get matched up with some local feature in town that's crushing it, and then you're like, oh no, now I got to go up, and I'm low energy, so it's like, even now, like just 2 weeks ago, I was in San Antonio, and I brought my feature. He's a guy from Houston named Barry Laminack, and Barry crushes it. And I'm like, I'm very confident in my headlining. And I'm also like, I'm watching Barry crush it. And I'm like, oh no, he's so high energy. Yeah. And I'm just like, he really made me work for it. And I like that now, but I didn't like that when I first started headlining. I'm like, I'm just trying to keep the audience interested for 50 minutes. Right. And the jump from 30 to 45 was a lot to me. But now I'm like, I like to do an hour, I'm like, because I like to, I like to make the show my show.
Did you okay, so did you get to a point where you found your voice, as they say? Did you find your voice when you've reached that point? Well, obviously, because you're like, I could talk for an hour, or I could talk whatever. I have the confidence enough now where I'm like, I can make this a show, as opposed to, am I interesting enough? Are people going to like me or stay with me through my set? At what point did you say, okay, now, it's just time. I'm assuming it's time. And the more you go up there, you get to understand yourself, and yourself, and that confidence comes through it. But at what point?
I think it is always changing. I mean, because I was working every weekend prior to, the shutdown. I mean, my calendar was super full. I was doing some like corporate gigs, colleges during the week, clubs on the weekend. I mean, my whole calendar was like nonstop. I mean, I was all over. So I was doing so much comedy, and so many, one night I'd be in a room with 100 college students. And then the next night I'm in a room with, 50 guys that work for an oil company, and then I'm at a club. Yeah. And I'm like, so I'm doing so many different things. And then the shutdown happens, and I'm shut down for 2 months. And then I went to Dallas, Texas. And after 2 months of not doing comedy, after doing it every weekend, I was just like, I don't know. I had a different mentality. I was like, I don't know what people are going to be laughing at. I don't know what they're going to be into. So I almost like retired a bunch of jokes that I've been doing for a long time. And now I got an hour of stuff that, some of it's old, but for the most part, it's all fairly new. And it just, because I don't know, it just felt like this was a rebirth. It's like, we're coming back into something new, and I just want to do different things. And I just did a club in Chattanooga that I've done a bunch of times. And the club owner, he told me that he missed some of my old jokes. And I felt good about that, because I felt like my set was really good. Yeah. And the fact that, he missed some old jokes, great. But I'm like, I got to move on to new stuff. I got to keep, and it's like my voice has changed, my style of comedy from, if you listen to the album I put out in 2014 and then see what I'm doing now, it's a lot different.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, Dusty. When you look at the transition from your early days to where you are now, how has your writing changed in terms of how much time are you spending writing now? How's the process changed? What's changed in your writing to keep you going at the level you're doing now, and to have a comfort with that new material that you're producing now?
Well, it's completely changed. I mean, completely. And I still think that, if I were starting comedy now, I would still do it the way that I used to do it, even though I don't think that works well for me now. I used to have an idea, and then I had friends that I would write with. I had different friends, and we would get together and just try to hash out these jokes. I had friends that were, very generous with their time and ideas, and we would sit down and they would just help me write jokes. And so I had these very, crafted jokes that I memorized and then were very tight and structured. And, along the way, I almost felt like that got in my way because I would write a joke a certain way at home and then go try it out. And if it didn't work that way, if it wasn't funny, I had a hard time breaking away from the way that I wrote it, if that makes sense. Like I would write a line and I would be like, oh, this line's gold. And then I would go tell it and no one would laugh. And I would be like, I don't understand why they didn't laugh because this is funny. Right. And so I would keep doing that line over. And I still do that a little bit. Like if I think a line's funny, I'll keep doing it, even though no one's laughing at it. But now what I do is I just kind of have an idea. And it helps that I have enough material that I'm confident in. Yeah. That I'll do my joke and then I'll go, all right, that got a laugh. I'm going to try the new thing. And I'll just have an idea of what I'm going to say and I'll try to riff on it for a bit. And the great thing is I've kind of created this joke where I do the new joke. If it doesn't work, I give them a wave. I say, we're having a good time. And then we get into another joke that I know is going to work. Okay. You know what I mean?
I love so I love that because I've been talking to a couple guys about how they can deal with if a joke doesn't hit. How do you transition into your next joke without feeling salty about that last joke? Yeah. And some guys, sometimes they do these certain quirks, and some guys, when they, like, I know this one guy, he just strokes his face like this. If it doesn't work, it's kind of like, okay, that didn't work out, but he's able to go into his transition. So you just mentioned the way that hey, we're having a good time. And that is so awesome to see, because when you introduce that, you're like, I don't like to, say this, I like to do this because it makes it so much easier. Now, throughout your set, I'm not saying that, you don't hit, but you're putting that in there just because you can see, okay, that didn't land on this person over here, but we're having a good time. It's so cool to see how comfortable it is to go from one joke to the next transition. Even when in between, I've saw guys just like, for me, I noticed that when I'm up there and I see that joke didn't quite hit, I'm going to my next one. I kind of do this. I go into I'm going to hug myself. Oh yeah. And say, it's all right, bro. Go to the next, joke, so that I can concentrate on the next one. So did that just happen where you're like, you know what? This joke doesn't land. Okay, we're having a good time. How did that just birth into your set like that?
Well, it does just kind of happen, right? It's like you just find things that work and then you repeat it, right? So it's like my whole we're having a good time thing is it just comes from a place of I want the whole show to be comedy. I want everything I do to be comedy, to be funny, to be fun. Even when I got t-shirts that I sell and I'm like, I was so weird about selling stuff. But I also would work the road and I'd be, artsy trying to sell my CDs. I'm like, I don't want to sell t-shirts. I'm going to sell just CDs. And then I watch a comic make, $500 while I sold 2 CDs. And I'm like, well, maybe I should sell a couple of shirts, And so I make shirts that I like, that I feel good about, that I want a shirt that I'm like, I feel like a person would wear this shirt, whether they liked my comedy or not. Okay. Right. So I have a shirt and then I'm like, I also want the whole pitch to be jokes. I'm like, even if they don't buy shirts, if they're not interested in buying shirts, I still want them to find this part of the show funny. Right. So that's what I do, even with jokes that don't work. I got all kind of things that I'll say, and some of it just comes out off the cuff, but sometimes I'll be like, I'll say, yeah, I wanted that joke to be funnier, but hey, they can't all be home runs. And then I'll just kind of go, I want them to be, and that's not your fault that it wasn't funny. That's my fault, And I just try to make just joke after joke about everything. That's no matter what happens, it's all a joke. That's my whole job up here. And that's all I've ever wanted with comedy, is just to be funny and just be working, right? It's like anything else that comes, it comes, and I'm happy that it does. But I'm just up here to do comedy. And I'm happy. I used to sell pesticides for a living. So I'm like, I'm happy to be making money doing comedy.
Right. That's
and
the love.
hopefully it's not as dangerous as doing pesticides. Although if sometimes when you bomb, it feels like you just drank a bunch of pesticides. I don't know.
Yeah, I've bombed and been like, I never felt this bad selling pesticides.
So let me ask you this then: who has been your inspiration, or when you looked at, hey, I think doing comedy be kind of fun. I don't know, who was it that you watched that kind of got you hooked into the concept or the idea of maybe pursuing comedy as something you do?
Well, growing up, I always say this. I mean, this is true though. I mean, I grew up in a trailer, right, in Alabama. So and then my parents are divorced, right? So my dad, he lives on a farm. My mom lives in a trailer. She doesn't now. It doesn't matter, but maybe if she's listening, she'd like people to know that she doesn't. And but
There it is.
but Jeff Foxworthy came out when I was in middle school with "You Might Be a Redneck," and I mean, it was the first time comedy really resonated with me, right? Because he's had us walking around school saying "you want to" and "all right," like we weren't already saying it.
Right.
Like now we're emphasizing what we were already saying. And then, I watched Comic View on BET growing up. And then Chris Rock, I think his first big special came out when I was late teens. And then the Blue Collar Comedy Tour came out.
Yep.
And I was introduced to, I already knew Bill Engvall, Here's Your Sign. I always liked that. But I was introduced to Larry the Cable Guy and Ron White. And I just was really blown away. And then a friend of mine gave me a Mitch Hedberg CD when I was first starting comedy. And he gave me a Steve Martin CD that was Let's Get Small.
Yeah.
And that album is so great. And I listened to all of that stuff. And that's what really got me fired up about doing comedy. I mean, between Ron White and Mitch Hedberg, I was introduced to kind of one-liner comedy, which I had never really thought of. And then Steve Martin just showed me this whole idea of absurdity in comedy, and that it was like, wow, this guy's just, he has a joke off the Let's Get Small CD. It's called "One Way to Leave Your Lover" or something like that. And it's the best joke. I mean, it is my favorite joke because he's so serious throughout the whole joke, yet the audience is laughing the whole time. He hasn't even delivered a punchline until the end, but the audience is laughing at how serious he is. And I really like that. I like to do that sort of stuff in my set. Like, do the set for 15, 20 minutes and go, all right, let's get into it.
Yeah.
Just stuff like that. Like he has a joke on there where he's like, all right, I am waiting for the drugs to kick in. And, and it's like, and then Mitch Hedberg, I mean, I feel like the problem with Mitch Hedberg is so many people wanted to be Mitch Hedberg that everybody and their mom is out there just doing premises instead of like being like, there actually is a lot to that premise that if you expanded it, you'd have a whole joke there.
Right.
But instead you're trying to get a laugh off this premise. But I don't know. I mean, those guys are all so great to me. I mean, Larry the Cable Guy, I mean, he gets, especially with comics, gets kind of lumped into this thing of being cheesy or whatever. But I'm like, that guy, I mean, he, in an hour, I mean, he probably, I did a interview with him and I forget what he said, but it was an unbelievable amount of punchlines that he has in an hour. Like, when he said the number to me, I was blown away. I mean, Larry the Cable Guy is like, joke. And it's like, that's what I'm trying to be. I'm trying to do a joke every 15 seconds. I'm like, let's just get as many laughs as we can. I'm not trying. I got nothing serious to talk to people about. I mean, when I do stuff like this, I'm all about sharing advice, sharing the thing. But when I'm on stage, I'm trying to be funny the whole time.
Right.
Right.
If people aren't laughing, I'm messing up.
Right. Exactly. If there's
Or
any
they're
kind
a weird audience.
of right, it
Not
all
always
depends.
my fault.
Right. Exactly. And then,
Sometimes it is, but it's not always my fault.
that's true. And that's safe. That's safe to say because a lot of people want to blame the audience for not laughing. And it's like, well, if you really evaluate the whole thing, did your jokes really land
Right.
as like you want them to? At least give the audience some credit. Because I know you can do a type 5, I know every single one of these jokes work and
Right.
nobody's laughing. So what's going on, guys? Let's work this out.
That's true, but it's like sometimes you can start weird. Like I love to start weird. That's one of my favorite things is to start weird. But sometimes you can do that and it put yourself in a hole, and then you have to go.
Yeah.
And in my head, I have to go. I have to go. All right, let's get into this. Let's start nailing some jokes because you've really put yourself in a weird place up here.
But you build yourself out of it. So for you appreciate being in the weird spot because you're like, okay, let's see where this goes.
Yeah.
You're kind of like, I don't know, improvising, at that moment because you're like, I like what's popping up here. I can touch on that. Or like riffing, for example, a lot of people think, or a lot of comics, I should say, not people, but a lot of comics try to just jump in riffing. And it's like, there's actually a style to it. There's not necessarily, I'm just going to point you out, sir, and start getting on you. But more or less, if you can work that riff right, you can work it into who you are and it becomes you because you create these worlds of, okay, I'm not just going to say, hey, where are you from, sir? It's more like, I'm going to work and create something where I can work my material into the first joke.
Yeah, I never do that. I could care less where anyone's from. People do that a lot and it works for them, but I'm like, I don't have any jokes for that. Like, chances are I've been to the place. Like, if it's within the country, there's a good chance I've been there now, but I don't have a joke for it. You know what I mean? Some people are great at it. I worked with this guy, Dobie Maxwell, and he seemed to have a joke for every place in the country. And I was like, wow, that's really amazing, but that's never going to be me,
But see, that's where it lies into the beauty of what you said earlier too, as well. It's like everybody has a journey.
Yeah.
Like for you, you didn't know you were gonna fall into and find all of these awesome comics, from Larry and everybody else in that, in where you were born and where you were raised. You in Tennessee. You know what I'm saying? It's like you didn't know where that was going. So your journey is so unique. And same thing with me. Like I have some similarities with what you're talking about. I come from broken home too as well. My mom also lived in a mobile home. She does it now. But at the same time,
look at our moms coming up in the world.
They're coming up, bro. So it's just understanding that everybody has a specific journey, and it may not go as fast as this person over here, or it may not, be as elaborate as this comic over here. But yet at the same time, there's still that mentality of if you're doing good, I'm going to tear you down because it's not fair. And I just feel like if we can just embrace and understand that everybody has a specific journey. Like I'm not at a point where I feel like I should headline. A lot of people telling me you should headline, bro. I want to see your show. And I'm like, I just don't feel like I'm in that place right now. I just feel like being in the hammock is nice with me. Guest spotting is cool. And running my own club is awesome. Like I love that.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's journey in life is different, right? It's like, I don't know. I just feel like that. I feel like people get into comedy to be famous, right? And I'm like, and that's fine if that's why you get into it. But I just wanted to be a comic, right? I mean, to me, the Brian Regan status is the dream, right? Because it's like, I feel like so many non-comics have no idea who Brian Regan is, yet he sells out everywhere he goes, right? I have no idea what's happening there, but it's like, that's the dream, right? He's a comic. He just does comedy, makes a ton of money doing it, but he just does it his way. And it's like, but it's like, even if you can't get that, no matter, like I had a friend one time, he moved from Charleston to Chicago and to pursue comedy. And then, once he got there, I don't know what happened, but it just kind of wasn't his thing. And he ended up working for a brewery in Chicago, giving tours. And I went to see him and he seemed so happy, but he also seemed like he was kind of like almost trying to explain to me why he wasn't doing comedy anymore. And I'm like, dude, comedy led you to this place. You're happy. he met a girl, he got married, he loved his job. I'm like, what more do you want? Why do you want? I mean, it's like so many people want to be, I almost don't want to be famous. Like, again, I want people to go, oh, Dusty Slay, he's a great comic. Let's go see his comedy. Right. But it's like the moment you get famous, especially now, it seems like people want to tear you down.
Man.
So I'm like, let me
thanks.
just do comedy and you come see me and we'll have a good time.
I know so many comics that their aspirations, I'm going to do comedy so that I can get seen and get in some TV show or some movie. I'm doing comedy because I love doing comedy. And I don't have any desire to be in a movie, so I just want to keep doing comedy. I love giving away the opportunity for people to laugh and just having that fun. So
yeah, totally. I mean, I'll take TV money, but that, I mean, I don't even love money at all. Right. But money is not like being a person who never really had money. Money is a nice security thing that you're like, I mean, I would love the security, but I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I'm still wearing V-neck T-shirts that I buy at a package from Hanes. You know what I mean? And then when I get a crew neck, I always cut it. My wife goes, I hate that you cut all your shirts. I'm like, but I'm getting choked out here. I don't know what's wrong with my neck, but I get choked out. I feel like I thought I had a sore throat the other day, and I'm like, oh, I'm wearing a crew neck. Yeah.
Dude. So, Dusty, let me ask you this. Over the years, you've gotten some advice, whether it's been business advice, comedy advice, whatever it is, to help you get to where you are in your comedy career right now. What's the best piece of advice somebody gave to you?
Well, one time I used to work at Office Depot, and one time a guy said to me, a random customer that I talked to a few times, he said to me, if anybody is given advice, listen to them, right? So I always, and that seems simple enough, but I always appreciate that because I'm like, I'll listen to any advice that people want to give me, but I also try to look at what's going on with their life, where their life is at. And if the advice they give me, if I can look in their life and say, oh, that doesn't seem to be working for you, then I'm not going to take it. Right. But I worked with, when I first started selling pesticides, I was the assistant, and I worked for another guy. And this guy he was in his late 60s, and he had played football for the Buffalo Bills when he was younger. He had various careers and was just like kind of an older, wise man to me. He seemed old at the time, but now I'm like, 60s, that's not really old. But he had gray hair, slick back hair. He had big glasses with a chain coming down. Big chin. He was like over 6 foot tall, even in his late 60s, very intimidating. And we used to just sit and talk all the time. And I was in my early 20s, drinking all the time. I was hungover every day. And he would just force me to like have conversations about things. Like we would go to eat, and then he would read the paper. And then when he was done, he would go, all right, talk to me about something you've been thinking about. And then he would just like really make me have conversation. And this guy, he taught me so much. He taught me about like dating. Like I grew up in a small town. Dating was, hey, let's hang out later.
Right.
Let's come to a party, So I was living in Charleston. I didn't know anything about dating. He really taught me about that. And I don't know. So I just think really the best advice I was given is to like pay attention, learn, like don't just do things to be doing them, like learn, and that's, I don't know if that answer makes sense, but that's why I did a thing on my podcast called the We're Having a Good Time podcast, where I did a 10-part series on how to become a comic from the couch to headlining. Right. I really broke down all the steps that I took. And it's not me being like, I know best, listen to me, but it's me being like, this is what I did. And I'm not saying that it's going to be the same for you, but this is what I did, and it worked for me. And it worked for me not living in New York, LA, or Chicago. Like if you live in those big 3 cities, that's a whole different journey that I don't know nothing about. But
That's a whole different. You're so right,
Yeah.
man. That is so true because a lot of comics think I got to move to New York or I got to, and it was like that back in the day because comedy was booming back then. Where you
Right.
got to move to the west or move to the, go up north and you're
there was
there.
no internet. Yeah, I mean,
Exactly. Now it's just everything is instant and it's accessible and you can build your career or at
Yeah.
least build what you want to do in comedy right from your home, like we're doing right now. Like you can actually do that where people have with this whole COVID thing. It's caused us as a club to be more innovative. And that's like opening the whole process of learning what it is to broadcast live, what it is to be able to go at 50% capacity and still have a dope show. Like we had to really adjust our method because we were hitting such a great stride and the name was going and then it just hit us. And we're like, well, who plans for a pandemic?
Right.
At their first year of business. So we really had to just buckle down and say, you know what, let's go ahead and work with what we got and be more innovative in what we're doing. So let's reach out, via YouTube or whatever. And it's like everybody's doing that now. And you're seeing the growth and the increase of open mics being now through Zoom and learning what that's all about and how to be a good comic, even on TV or over the internet. It's like you got to learn timing. And
I just did a corporate gig the other day over Zoom, and it just goes back to what you were saying about being clean. I did tell someone that I would do a thing at 11. Mm-hmm. So I had so I may have to get out of here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
That's okay. Mm-hmm. But I just going back to being clean. It's like, I never tell people that you have to be clean, but it's like, man, I've gotten so many opportunities just because people will say, hey, can you do 30 clean? Can you? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And then I make money. And also I've drank these things. So I have to I really have to pee. And I'm getting squirrely over here. I'm sweating. I feel like I'm detoxing. And
sorry, Dusty, we will see you tomorrow at Gutty's Comedy Club. We're thrilled to have you rolling in. We really are going to have a great time. So looking forward to having you, and we're looking forward to having a great weekend together. So
thank you.
Thanks, Dusty. Appreciate it, man. Have a good one, bro. We'll see you then.
You too. Thank you.
Thanks. Yep. All right. Well, there it is.
Yeah.
Right? We just had a great show with Dusty. It's going to be great, dude. I can't wait to have him in. We just got tickets in. I'm telling you, if you don't get the tickets now, you're going to miss out. You're going to miss out. Who knows what can happen this weekend. But right now, just jump on, get your tickets before they sell out because it's going. Yeah. It's going.
And I'm waiting to hear an actual word back. In fact, I've been trying to watch during this time to see if I got any emails popping in and haven't yet. But because we are knocking on sold out for both shows, I'm trying to get us the approval for us to get a Saturday night late show lined up. So hopefully we'll be able to make an announcement real soon to get that out and let people know, because it's going to be a great time.
It's going to be, dude, if this is the type of stuff that we're talking about that we want to bring to Gutty's. We have every single show that we've had has always brought that element of, come on out and enjoy yourself, because you and the family, everybody can enjoy themselves with this comedy. And I'm stoked about the fact that we're growing still in the middle of this. I am at awe, again, of all the support that has been coming through Gutty's, through the comics, and through people who love what we do. Again, thank you guys so much for that. We appreciate you guys, and we are definitely something that are ready to make sure that we that we're a part of. So it looks like
I'm gonna say evidently Dusty's restroom break is over, because I can see him in the green room.
He's still chilling. He's high. He's relieved.
He's in the green room going, I feel so much better. So
take it easy, man.
But please come come out to we like I said, we still have just a couple of tickets left. I think, what is it, 4 tickets left?
It's been
for Friday night.
For Friday night, to be honest with you, let's
we
double
are,
check. Let's check. People are watching right now. Might as well. Let's triple check this.
So I'm just saying,
we're
guys
tap dancing on. There's 7 tickets left for Friday.
Okay, so you need to get your tickets now, because it's going to be a fantastic time.
Yeah.
Because like we were saying earlier, we've got Jake Rubel is featuring, and he is he's a young comic that is just coming along, and he is a lot of fun, and you're going to love him. And then Dusty, and and then we've got a guest spot by a very funny young Puerto Rican comic by the name of.
This is the only one. If you said Puerto Rican, the Rican's gonna be there.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be there. You guys want to hang out with us? Let's do it. We're gonna have a good time, according to Dusty. We're definitely gonna have a good time, no doubt. Let's have some fun, man. Come on out. Make sure you're ready to laugh, guys, because you're gonna laugh. There's guarantee. You're gonna have a good time. You're gonna laugh, and just come on out and do this. Like, again, get your tickets now if you haven't yet. Make sure you do that. And if anything works out, I hope it does, because I want to give laughter. Jake wants to give it, and obviously Dusty wants to give laughter to people. So we want to open up another show. If it happens, great. If not, you'll catch it around. You can actually, if you're scared about coming out, which is fine, bring your mask. That's fine. But if you don't want to come out, that's fine, because we'll be online as well. Check us out online as well. Go to Gutty'sComedyClub.com, and you can check us out there. If you downloaded our mobile app, you can connect with us directly by texting us directly, or you can check out the events as well. Everything's at your fingertips. We made it really easy for you to just download the info, connect with Gutty's Comedy Club, and we'll be able to get this show going with you, and we can work this through to see the rest of this daggone year to be out of us, just in the rear view mirror. I'm so done with this year, but I'm ready to keep pushing comedy to you guys, man. I love you guys out there. Thank you so much. I love the Gutty family out there, and I love you for supporting what we do. Man, this was fun.
Yeah. So
this was a fun one.
If you, like Steve was saying, if you can't get to the club, if you live in a different state, man, I really want to see Dusty when he's at Gutty's. You can go to Gutty'sComedyClub.com/live and register, and you'll be able to watch the show. And now there is a fee. Normally it's $20. Right now we've got a special going on, so I think it's even going to make it easy for people to jump on, because I think it's $10.
Yep.
And it's going to be, I'm just telling you, if you can't come to the club, that's a great place. That's a great place to watch a show, because you're going to get the experience of all of what's happening at Gutty's from the comfort of your own home, So,
and as always, like and subscribe. Make sure you like and subscribe us. Click that bell and know that Gutty's Comedy Club is always going to bring the good, clean comedy to you, quality comedy. And if you haven't signed up for open mic, sign up for open mic every Thursday nights. We're here testing out our jokes and practicing, so that way when we present our jokes before you live. So text Dusty to 317-597-6856 to join our community. And I'd love to meet you, connect with you directly. This is straight directly to both Dennis and I. We'd love to connect with you guys and see how you guys are doing, and also give you the information that you're looking for. So again, text Dusty to 317-597-6856. I got that number down, bro.
You rattle it
working
off
hard, bro.
You rattle it off like you remember it. I have to go 317 597.
Well, we made it easy too. Like if you have the app,
6856.
Right.
Yeah.
317-597-6856. If you have the app, just hit text us. We made it easy for Pops over here. Just text us, and it goes straight to connecting with us. And we want to hear from you. We want to know from you, and we want to connect with you. We appreciate you guys. We love you guys, and we can't wait to see you this weekend at Gutty's Comedy Club. This has been the Pops and the Rican Show.
Hey, I'm still Pops.
And I am the Rican. And this has been the Pops and the Rican Show. So thank you guys so much.
Deuces.
Pops and the Rican.
Pops and the Rican.
Look at this.
Pops and the Rican. The Pops and the Rican. What? The Pops and the Rican.
Look at the top of his head. Look at his head.
Pops and the Rican.